Now let's look at the space undead, the Necrons. These seemingly immortal and terrifying android warriors were once the masters of the galaxy some 60 million years ago. They have slumbered for eons and are now waking up at last. Their bodies are made of living metal that can heal battle damage as fast as it's inflicted. Those that are too damaged to regenerate on their own are known to vanish in flares of light. They're either recalled to their base for extensive repair or destroyed by fail-safe systems to prevent their bodies from being seized for study by the lesser races. But the Necrons weren't always like this. They were once a flesh and blood race known as the Necrontyr. Short-lived and warlike, the Necrontyr built a star-spanning empire with their wondrous technologies. Legends tell that to unite their people, the Necrontyr rulers began a war with the beings known as the Old Ones. But the Old Ones were a crazily advanced race. For example, they're known to be the creators of the webway. So even for the Necrontyr, fighting the Old Ones was more or less a suicide maneuver. On the brink of annihilation, Zarek, the sovereign of the Necrontyr, was visited by the Catan, beings formed from the fundamental energies of the universe. They offered power and immortality and demanded an alliance to destroy the hated Old Ones in return. Zarek deliberated for a long time, but in the end, he accepted the offer. Despite many concerns, the biotransference to living metal bodies was enforced, and the Necrontyr became the Necrons we know today. But during the process, the Catan devoured their souls, so almost all of their personalities and free will was lost, except for the ruling castes. Ironically, the absence of free will made them excellent soldiers, wholly focused on a single goal, which allowed them to finally best the Old Ones. The Catan were at their weakest following the Titanic conflict, and Zarek did not miss the opportunity. Zarek shattered the Catan into numerous shards, but he couldn't totally obliterate them, so he bound them into extra-dimensional prisons known as Tesseract Labyrinths. After battling the Old Ones and the Catan in succession, the Necrons were too depleted to fight off the vengeful servants of the Old Ones, like the Eldari. Thus, Zarek ordered the Necron to hibernate and freed them from his command protocols before he left the galaxy aboard his ship, the Song of Oblivion. Why he chose exile is known only to Zarek himself. It is said that after witnessing the Tyranids in the intergalactic void, he returned to the stars to protect his people. Now he has openly revealed himself and is uniting the Necrons once more. After 60 million years of slumber, the Necrons are awakening in their tomb worlds. But 60 million years is a long time even for the mighty Necrons. Some tomb worlds were purged by the Eldari. Some were obliterated by comet strikes, and some had serious stasis field malfunctions. Those worlds that did survive found themselves far from their original positions. That's why their domains are so fragmented and factionalized. The Necrons are divided into many dynasties, which are ruled over by pharaohs. A dynasty rules many tomb worlds, which are each governed by lords or overlords. Lich Guards protect these VIPs, while Cryptechs provide technical support. Each Cryptech specializes in a specific field. Plasmancers are capable of wielding energy itself as a weapon. Psychomancers assault the enemy's mind with phantasms. Chronomancers can manipulate time, while Canoptic constructs, the tireless servants of the Necrons, are overseen by Technomancers. Necron warriors are the backbone of any Necron legion. These lesser Necrons can't make decisions on their own, so directives are constantly required. But when properly commanded, warriors' superior firepower and resilience prove to be very deadly. Royal Wardens, that act as battlefield commanders, play an essential role here. They are the ones who deliver the directives to the warriors. Immortals, former shock troops of the Necrontyr, can employ several strategies even without command, making them better pawns. Still, nobles openly value their vehicles over their infantry, with lesser Necrons considered expendable. Not all Necrons are under the nobility's command, however. The destroyer cults are an example of that. This widespread strain of insanity makes the Necron devoid of personal ambition, desire, or hope. only the cold, calculated hatred towards all organic life remains within them. The nobles employ them as shock troops, but they do not trust the destroyers. They fear their madness spreading to other Necrons, and who they will turn on once all the organics are slain. Another example are the Flayed Ones. These are Necrons that were cursed by the Catan Ladrugor, the Flayer. They attempt to gorge themselves upon the flesh and blood of butchered foes. The nobles make every effort to avoid them, fearing their infectious madness, but they just join the battle anyway. As for the Catan Shards, the Necrons have weaponized them. It takes the full might of Necron technology to trammel these used-to-be gods, but their incredible cosmic power is worth the risk. The greatest amongst them are called Transcendent Catan. They can throw orbs of antimatter, erase one's existence from space and time, or create bale stars and unleash them upon enemies. Shards of the Deceiver flood the minds of victims with terrible cosmic truth that drive even the most ironclad minds insane. The Nightbringer can obliterate enemies with nothing but its gaze, while the Void Dragon creates a mighty storm that annihilates all it touches. Necron technology overwhelmingly precedes that of any other race. Only the Eldari might, in some situations, get a chance to compare. Their most common armament is the portable Gauss weapon, which shoots a beam that disassembles each layer it hits into its constituent atoms. This makes even the average warrior somewhat effective against armored vehicles. They also have Tesla weapons which arc from one foe to the next, particle weapons that fire minuscule antimatter particles, and enmitic weapons that make the target's atoms violently repel from one another. All these are ranged weapons, and their melee weapons are no less deadly. Hyperphase weapons pass through armor without resistance, and void blades collapse the victim's very molecular bonds. But it's not just their weapons that are superior. Quantum shielding transforms incoming energy into a harmless form, meaning the stronger the enemy's weapons, the more effective the shield becomes. Necrons also have captured wormholes for their use, so they can march straight onto other planets from their tomb worlds. Their gravitic repulsion generators can float anything, making Necron armies far more strategically agile than they look. Their means of interstellar travel is also outstanding, of course. Their method is as fast as warp travel, but significantly safer. Coupled with teleportation technology, the never-ending ranks of the Necrons can move anywhere, anytime, with just a single ship. While the behavior of the Necrons seems random to outsiders, particularly due to their internal politics and fractured dynasties, most are working towards the same core goals in their own way. The reconquering of the stars and the restoration of the glorious Necron Empire. I hope you enjoyed the lore comic. It's made by the talented Dong Gool Troll. I'll link his blog and Amazon page below. While I have a personal soft spot for space elves, it's hard not to find the endless waves of murder machines positively adorable. What's your favorite Xenos faction that you'd like to see a video of? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to our little channel to become a member of our ever-growing Imperium of subscribers. Thank you. Until our next adventure.